right, everybody. Dr. Rafich here from Vet Triage. As we are in the middle of the summertime in Las Vegas, Nevada, it's pertinent to discuss heat-related pet deaths and pet injuries. So what I'd like to do is go over this article shared to me by the KNPR radio station here in town. I'll actually be uploading my most recent discussion on that radio show as well on this channel. So look forward to that. We discuss heat-related issues as well as other pet-related concerns, advice, things like that. So this is a website, total.vet, that I'll post in the description below. The U.S. states with the most heat-related pet deaths. Every year, local authorities receive reports of heat-related pet deaths as early as April, most of which are the results of pets being confined in a hot vehicle. So it's still crazy to me, after all these many years of human beings having domesticated animals as pets, that they don't just presume that a car that's locked, no AC, no windows down, in the middle of summer won't get to a level of heat that is either worrisome or life-threatening. Anybody who has experienced summer anywhere in the world, when you get into your car and you realize, oh, the seat is hot, the leather feels hot, the seatbelt's hot, the dashboard's hot, everything's hot to the touch. You can't even touch it. It's so hot. Why would you think that a living, breathing organism can survive in that environment? So it's bizarre to me that common sense does not play a role. If you wouldn't leave your kid in the car, why would you leave your pets? It's crazy to me. There may be just a disconnect between the value of a human being, like a baby, versus an animal. That's one possibility. Second possibility is maybe people think that animals are just much more resilient than babies, which they probably are. And in most, if not all scenarios, an animal is fairly self-sufficient when compared to a baby. However, the external environmental temperature doesn't care about that. It's still going to impact these mammals the same. So I don't know. Maybe it's just something where it's just not registered in the same category in people's minds that the welfare, well-being of their animal in that scenario equals that of humans. So I don't know, but it's crazy to me that we still have to talk about this every single year. The special reports team at Total.vet analyzed 5 years of news reports from 2018 to 2022 to see which states have the highest numbers of reported heat-related pet deaths during this time period. While the majority of heat-related pet deaths studied were the result of an animal being confined in a hot vehicle, the reports also included those confined in trailers, garages, sheds, and those being left outside. And these are the reported ones, by the way. It's probably a lot higher because most of these things probably are not reported, whether it be because the animal recovered on their own or with minimal intervention by the pet owner, or perhaps people were afraid if they did report it, they'd get in trouble with the law, or with animal rescues or animal shelters, animal control. So keep in mind, these numbers are probably grossly underestimated. Texas, so state and total number of pet deaths during 2018-2022, Texas 40, Florida 26, California 14, Georgia 13, Louisiana 10, Ohio 9, West Virginia 9, Nebraska 8, Nevada, where I live, 8, New York 7. And, of course, it's no surprise, as some of these states are known for their warm weather. That's obvious. And, of course, it's also obvious that Texas is a very large state. New York is a very large state. California is very large. Florida is very large. Notice that Alaska, which is the largest, is not on this list. So there's, a population density thing here. There's the average climate in these locations as well. Are there states that own more animals than not? Are there states that own more dogs, which are more likely the ones that are going to be victims to heat-related injuries versus like cats or other domesticated animals, pocket pets, avian reptiles? So there's a lot of factors that go into this. Into these numbers, and I'm sure many that I'm not even thinking of. Overall, nationwide, over 250 animals died due to heat-related causes during the 2018 to 2022, with most deaths being the result of confinement in a hot vehicle. This number only represents those that were reported. It's significantly higher, probably. The top 10 states make up more than half, 57%. and the total number of reported heat-related pet deaths in the entire nation. Texas tops the list with 40 deaths during that period of time. This number is more than 6 times the national 5-year average. In 2021 and 2022 alone, Texas saw its highest numbers. Florida follows up with second, 26 heat-related pet deaths during the analyzed period, a number that's more than 4 times national average during this 5-year period. In the year 2022, Florida saw its highest number of reported heat-related pet deaths during the studied 5-year period. Across all states, dogs are the most common animals, making up 97%. Heat-related reports over the 5-year period were made as early as April. So, maybe they're trying to make the point here that even in more mild weather climate, there's still a danger. It also may be a climate change hint there, that it's getting warmer and warmer earlier every year, and the summers are maybe getting longer, or maybe the overall yearly climate, average climate has gone up. So, take that as you will, but that's probably what they're trying to hint at here. Heat-related rescues. In some cases, authorities and/or bystanders were able to successfully rescue an animal. In 2020, 2021, and 2022, 360 animals were rescued from their confinement. This equals a rate of over 100 animals rescued from life-threatening heat-related situations every year. And then the most common states where there are rescues: Florida, Ohio, California, Nevada, New York. And this may be a population density thing, or maybe that these states have laws that support good Samaritans that are going to try to break into a car, let's say, someone else's car, to save an animal they think is in trouble. So believe it or not, there are laws that describe these scenarios, and I think I'm going to make another video talking about that as well. The most common months: June and July, of course. Aw, puppy dog. Never leave a pet in the car. Veterinarians urge pet owners to never, under any circumstances whatsoever, leave their companion animals inside a car. Let's see this picture up. This is the case even when on days that are simply warm. While weather in the 70s may seem harmless, a study showed that in an hour, a car's temperature rose to 116 degrees internally when it was outside weather of 72 degrees. And leaving car windows slightly open does little to help. Another study from the American Academy of Pediatrics found that cracking open a car window on a hot day did little to evade deadly internal temperatures, while closed windows saw temperatures rise 3.4 degrees Fahrenheit every 5 minutes. Windows opened by 1.5 inches still had an increase of 3.1 degrees per 5-minute interval. Finally, pet owners who rely on their vehicle's air conditioning to keep the pet cool. There are numerous circumstances where the air conditioning stopped working and then they caused death. Instead of leaving a pet in the car, consider keep pets safe by leaving them at home. Bring a friend along so you can play with them under a tree while you're busy. When possible, use drive-through for errands and frequent pet-friendly stores and restaurants. Veterinarians also urge pet owners to keep the following in mind. Always provide your pet with ample shade and water when outside. Pets should never be left outside for a long period of time, especially in extremely hot days. For temperatures at 90 degrees Fahrenheit or above, pets should spend no more than 10 to 15 minutes outside for brief bathroom or play breaks. This is also the case for balconies with no shade. The surface of a balcony can quickly exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit, burning paws, leading to heat stroke and or death. Avoid walking your dog between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And really in Las Vegas, when it's hitting 120 degrees here in the dead of summer, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. is probably the cutoff in the morning time. And I mean, it'll be 100 degrees here in Nevada, in Las Vegas at midnight. So it's, be aware of that. This is dependent on where you live. The best time to walk your dog is during the early morning or any time in the evening. Additionally, rather than walking on hot pavement, choose shaded forests or parks with grassy terrain. If it's 86 degrees Fahrenheit, pavement can be as high as 135 degrees in direct sunlight. It can burn their feet. To test the safety of a particular stretch of pavement when walking your dog, place your own hand or your foot on the pavement. Hold it there for 5-10 seconds, and if it's uncomfortable for you, it's too hot for your dog. Signs of overheated. So we're not going to go through all of these, but notice how the variety of symptoms, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, can present itself in various ways. Everything from like obvious things to like they're panting hard or breathing hard, or they're becoming very lethargic, to gastrointestinal disease like diarrhea, for example. These are heart rate changes, blood pressure changes. There are things that you cannot tell externally that your pet is being affected by the heat. So although I appreciate what they're trying to do here by listing a bunch of symptoms, and of course you can read that on your own, I'm not a fan of self-diagnosing. I think that preventative measures, of course, are number one most important. But secondly, something like vettriage.com, where you can talk to a veterinarian on live video 24/7 for just $50 US. That's worth it, because I've had clients that reach out us on Vet Triage that self-diagnose their pet as having heat stroke or heat exhaustion, and they already went through the cooling process for their dog before talking to a veterinarian, and now their dog is hypothermic, and dangerously so. And I've had dogs die because their pet owners, whether it was incorrectly or correctly diagnosing heat exhaustion or heat stroke, they overdid the correction, and now they caused lethal hypothermia in their animals. So signs are important, but the most important sign: your dog got sick all of a sudden without any warning while they're out in the heat. That's enough for me to think of heat stroke. If you suspect that your pet may be overheated, take them to a veterinarian immediately. You can help cool your pets down. So again, this too, I want to make sure it's clear that self-diagnosing and self-treatment is not a good idea. You can't just cool your pet blindly and then wait for them to get better. It's not. You can overcorrect. And so if you overcorrect their heat situation, you're gonna potentially cause hypothermia, which is just as dangerous as hyperthermia. So I don't recommend doing this stuff. Now, if you're in an emergency situation, and, do you start cooling your pet? I guess, but if you have connection to a phone or internet and you can reach out to Vet Triage within a couple of minutes, we can guide you into what's going on, what to do, how to safely address this problem. And this is with the hopes of either treating your pet and curing them, or at least getting them stable enough to safely drive to the nearest emergency hospital. If the nearest emergency hospital is going to be hours away for you, then you're going to want to start cooling efforts before you hit the pavement. No pun intended. Or in lieu of going to the veterinary hospital, we can at least help treat your pet at home if an emergency hospital is not an option for you. So I'm just not a fan of self-diagnosing, and I'm not a fan of just self-treatment for these situations, because the treatment can be dangerous. We see the same thing when pet owners try to induce vomiting in their pet by reading online about using hydrogen peroxide. They've overdosed their pet because of miscalculations, and now they're dealing with not only the toxicity but the peroxide complications. Or they'll use it in an animal like a ferret or a cat, where you are never to use peroxide. They'll use it inappropriately, then talk to us, and now we have 2, if not more, problems to deal with. Whereas if they had just reached out to us with the initial toxicity, we would have prevented all those other downstream effects and treated their pet responsibly. So I understand that pet owners are doing this out of good intention and they're not being malicious, but there's also something to be said about actually talking to an expert, which is what we are as veterinarians, Vet Triage, or some other platform. Anyway, I hope this is helpful for folks who live in these states where they have higher temperatures. I'll make another video talking about the legal aspect of this, at least to some degree, as far as whether or not you should or should not rescue an animal that you think is in trouble by breaking into somebody else's vehicle or property. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.